On August 18th, 1920, the 19th Amendment went through that would allow women the right to vote. This was the start of gender equality, and 101 years later, we are still dealing with this issue. From women being viewed as unfit, emotional, and not worthy enough in the eyes of men. Just when we thought things were looking better, the world has shown us that it is not. Men deciding recently in Texas that women can't get abortion is just the start of it. On May 19th, Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, signed a law that would prohibit women to have abortions as early as 6 weeks. Women are being stripped away from their rights in Texas. It's our body, and we should decide what we should do with it. This is a conversation that has been talked about for years. You might be wondering what this law is exception to, or if a woman gets raped or is sexually harassed and ends up with a baby, is that an exception to this law? And it is not. The only exception to this law is if it is endangering to the mother who is holding the child. After Texas passed this law, President Biden has been asking the U.S. Supreme Court to ban it and to block it from it getting into place. This is not the only state that is banning abortion. Mississippi, Kentucky, Ohio, and Georgia are also trying to enforce this law. The Supreme Court is already set to dispute Mississippi's request to make this abortion illegal on December 1st. The second thing I want to talk about is gender discrimination in the workplace, and it has been going on for years, and it's finally time to put a stop to it. Kristen Wong, who is a writer for the New York Times, told a story about gender discrimination. Her friend, who is a man, was interviewing a woman, and he said the interview went great, except for the reason that she has a 3-year-old child. He thought maybe this is going to take time out of her work. She's going to have a lot of call-outs, have a lot of vacations, and Kristen was astounded by this, and she asked him, she said, if this was a man with a 3-year-old child, would it be a problem then? And he stayed silent. He had no problem with that, and it just proves in her article in the New York Times that men are thinking of women as the mothers, the caregivers, the people who are not emotionally stable enough to do this, people who have to be dependent of children. But why don't they think of men in this role as well? In the Working Woman's Handbook, also an article that I read in 2018, a study concluded that women asking for raises and promotions are just as much as men are, but men are the ones that are getting it instead of the women. 2 out of 3 women are, 2 out of 3 of the low-wage people in America are women. Survey shows that 40% of employees are sexually harassed in their workplace. There's 2 different types of illegal workplace sexual harassment. The first one in the workplace is that your job is contingent on a sexual advance, such as if you go on this date with me, you could have a promotion, or I'll give you more hours. And the other one is something that blocks you from actually working, like someone touching you, someone texting you naughty pictures and stuff like that is the second one. And I would also like to talk about how women not only have to worry about their fellow employees and their peers at their jobs as a threat, because it's also their customers as well. A lot of young kids go into retail and customer service jobs, such as like restaurants, and their pay is based off of their good customer service. And in that workplace, their customer service, they have to be nice to customers, and being nice, some people might get the wrong impression of them being nice, and they might make sexual harassment marks, such as when, I'm going to give you an example of my experience when I was at work one day when I first started working there, a guy came in and he said if I bring his food to his car, he will give me a very hefty tip because I was nice to look at. And I was very offended because what about all my other employees who are capable of doing this? But he had to pick out me, the only woman working that day, to bring out his food. I didn't because stranger danger, and I didn't know what this guy was trying to do. So I let one of my fellow employees bring out the food, and he told me that the guy got very angry and said he wanted me to take it out, not a guy. The last point I'm going to talk about is human trafficking. And according to the International Labor Organization, 27 million people are human trafficked worldwide, and approximately 2.5 million victims every year become victim to this. And out of all of those statistics, 80% of those people are women. There's a difference between human trafficking and armed groups. Armed groups are people who partake in human trafficking in their territories of operation by coercing women and girls into marriages or sexual slavery. The website Global Acts states that human trafficking means the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons for the purpose of exploitation. That they exploit their victims through different types of human slavery, such as sex work, forced labor, or organ removal or selling. And this is something that's happening every single day, and not a lot of people realize it until something happens to someone close to them. Women are being targeted for this. There's been times that on the news you'll see that people are starting to sex traffic by putting a piece of cardboard on the back of someone's windshield, and when that person drives away, they follow them and then kidnap them and bring them into the sex ring. And this is something that I believe should be stopped. And I know there's people out there who are trying to stop it, but I feel like they could do more, because these horrible, horrible people are going out and looking for certain people to just take them, especially women. And a lot of these people are also kids who are girls and boys, but mostly little girls. And this is something that our kids and our daughters and our sisters and our friends shouldn't have to worry about. And saying all this about human trafficking, if you do have any information of it, I just want to put out the number just in case. The number is 1-888-373-7888. In conclusion, people say all the time that there's hope, and all we have is hope in these days. For us women, I will always have hope. I will always pray for a better day and hope that our daughters will be able to have the right for their body. Hope that they will be treated equal to men every day, especially in their jobs, because in their jobs, they should be equal to anyone because of their work ethic, not because they are a certain gender. And hope that they and their peers never have to walk around in fear that they will fall into sex trafficking, human trafficking, organ selling, arranged marriage, any of that. There's no better day to start making a change than today. And I really appreciate everyone listening to me. And I hope you've learned something from this. This whole point was for me to just educate you, give you some examples. And I just wanted to talk about all of what was happening, not only for me as a woman, but for my little sister, for my mother, for every woman I've ever met in my life, every woman I've never met in my life. And I hope that you took something away from this, and let's make a change for the woman.